Hey everybody, back to Monster here, back with Marvel Heroes, and I got Gambit again, and this time we got a couple builds. I'll be doing build number 1. Call this build Marked Cards, just because a lot of the other names are kind of taken with the actual abilities, but he does stack the deck pretty good, and this is probably one of the ones that's kind of favored. If you're hearing people talk about Gambit, you're hearing a lot of different things. And some people are saying he sucks and he's really, really a soft target. And other people are saying he's tough and can't die. Personally, the guys that are telling you that he's tough and can't die are probably really, really high level and got absolutely the right kind of gear for him and play him in a way that's pretty safe. And they're probably playing him smart. He's definitely, in my opinion, squishy, just to say the least. And I'll just prove it here. We'll go over to stats. Getting him to level 42, 27 defeats, and that's before around mid-20s where I got Cheat Death, which is one of his abilities, and it brings you back to life when you die. I don't believe it gives you a mark. It may give you a mark. I died a good amount of times. Partly my fault, because I know the map so well, leveling all these characters. I basically can blow through quests really fast and progressed content faster than the level was. So I hit a couple of red bosses and had to stop fighting them and go kill some mobs to get them to go orange, and then I could kill him again. So, you know, he is pretty decent character. So I'd put him on average. It's not my favorite. I still like Loki better. I like Thor better. I really like durable characters. He's kind of made to be a jack of all trades but master of none. He's got a little bit of Hawkeye thrown in there, a little bit of Daredevil thrown in there. Bad characters, I know, but at least his skills on Gambit are much better than their skills. You know, a little bit of Deadpool. There's a little bit of everybody mixed into him, but he doesn't master any of them really well. He's a really high dodge character up until around 30s, and then he kind of goes into low dodges. And if you hear any cooing noises, that's the daughter over there sleeping. So I'm going to go with this Marked Cards build first. This is going to be the ranged build. People tend to prefer to stay away from the thick of it with him because he's really squishy. Currently, I believe he's kind of bugged. I was at 26, I was at 4 durability, then 29 I went to 3 durability, and now you get another durability of 48. I really think I'm supposed to be around 4 or 5 durability here, and that would explain a lot. And his fighting skill is really low at the moment too, and that also explains why he's taking so much damage. So he's just one of those guys where he's sitting there doing really good, and all of a sudden he's getting hammered and you don't know from where. I tried a couple different costume outfits, and I went from health to a combination of health and life on basic power hits, with of course a lifesteal core, which doesn't really work. I don't think they fixed the cores properly yet, but it's on there anyways just in case. Really it's the regenerate health on hit, along with Lemuria, along with one of his passives, you know, and I got all this life regen coming in from Fearsome Fist. I got the shield motion tracker. You know, this does work on melee too if you wanted to use it. Seeing how he tends to stay at max range with his bow strike, you can get an extra 15% damage because it's based on range, not ranged attacks. The crit rating is for range powers, but the attack damage rating changes based on range, up to 15% at maximum range. So, you know, the bow strikes have a range. As you can see, they go out so far. But that's kind of all I'm going to cover on for this right now. I'm going to go over to the build, and we're going to build off a Dead Man's Hand. You're not going to see it for quite a little while, but if you're going to go ranged, this is definitely the best way to go. You can go ranged or you can go hybrid on him. I'm going to do a separate hybrid build. Then you're going to want kinetic control. What happens here is when he moves and when he attacks, he builds up kinetic charge, and at 100 he can hit a surge ability. You see there's like this ability says surge, and this ability says surge, and this ability says surge. When you surge, you kick into your kinetic powers for a short duration based on kinetic overcharge, which is basically 10 seconds. And you do extra energy attacks per hit, and then some attack speed and some critical hit rating. So it's a nice little buff, and we're gonna because we're gonna shoot 2 to 5 cards on average, 3.5 cards, so we should hit 3 times and at least get double extra damage at least. So we're also going to do kinetic control, seeing how we're ranged. This is going to buff our ranged damage quite a lot and give us a good chunk of maximum spirit. And we're going to put points into Royal Flush. This is going to be our surge ability. This is what we're going to hit to go into surge mode, and you're going to want to go into it a lot. And once you're in surge mode, you can unload a lot of spirit. Save some for your roll, so you can at least get away, because sometimes you have to roll twice. It's a real short duration, short distance roll, so it's not exactly the greatest charges out there, but it's there. And then we're going to go into Sleight of Hand. This is going to give us a massive chunk of dodge, and when we dodge, there's 20% chance to throw a card onto somebody for some extra damage. That's kind of a joke, but it's there with a massive amount of dodge. You need that dodge. And then we're going to buff for this one, Raging Cajun. This is his signature. Widely misunderstood and widely regarded as not the greatest, but it's actually a really strong signature when used right. So out of everything that I hear, I think this is the wrong thing. He is squishy. He's going to take finesse. So that's just the way he is. But this Raging Cajun, it generates instantly when you pop it 100 kinetic charge. So what you do is you wait for your charge to fill up. You wait to a situation where you need the charge, so you need the extra damage. You start blowing Royal Flush, doing massive amounts of damage, because Royal Flush shots go right through your targets, where Dead Man's hand is just a one shot. It hits what it hits and everything gets hit by it. So you unload your spirit with the Royal Flush, and then you use Dead Man's hand as a backup to regenerate it. And then once your kinetic overcharge is gone, you'll start generating kinetic charge again, which tells you, your power is now over. You pop Raging Cajun to immediately fill the bar again, and then you can hit Royal Flush again to immediately go into kinetic overcharge for some extra damage. That's how you get sustained damage. I mean, you're not going to be able to do it permanently, but the way I go about it, you'll get about 25 seconds. You can get maybe 30 seconds if you do it even more the way I'm doing it, but we'll get into the gear in a second here. And let's see, that's all our abilities. So we got Raging Cajun, Sleight of Hand. We're going to put a point into Sticky Fingers just to get the buff. We're going to put a point in Red Suits. Red Suits is going to give us extra health, and it's going to give us spirit reduction. You could put a point in Black Suits. I wouldn't pump lots of points in here. You don't get a good return on them. They're really strong candidates for plus grants. So if you want to be a little squishier and do more damage, get a grant for Black Suits. If you want to be a little bit more survival and have a lot more spirit coming in, because that does restores some spirit at ranged hit. And we're a ranged build. And we do have a ranged spirit dump. You go with that. I'm going with this because I prefer safety over a couple hundred extra damage. And then put a point into Cheat Death, so you'll revive. Every point reduces the cooldown by 0.1 second, or a tenth of a second. It's not that great. So it's not worth putting points in. If you have it on plus 20 or plus grants gear, that's fine. And that's the build. So I'm just making sure I got everything in there right, and I do. So I'm going to go ahead and click Confirm. And then on our left mouse button, I'm going to do Dead Man's Hand, and the right mouse button, I'm going to do, of course, the roll. And then my surge ability is also a Royal Flush here, so I'm going to have that active and ready for when I need to surge. And we got red suits. I just keep that on the bar. Once you turn it on, it usually stays on for quite a while. When you zone, though, you're going to want to check to make sure it's on. And then we'll have Raging Cajun down there to pop up so I can resurge again. And that's it. If you want, you can have a 52 card pickup just for bad situations. You can put a point into it or get it on grants. Not a bad thing as a getaway thing. I have it on a grants, so I'll have it on the bar just in case. It can slow down some enemies if I have to run away. And so that's the build. For the gear, because we're so strongly dependent on duration's abilities, I'm going with Dr. Doom's Metal. 15% duration gives me a couple extra seconds at a lot more extra damage. That can mean a lot with a higher debuff. Because we're such a dodge-based, Fearsome Fist is awesome just for the life regen and the fact that you get that crit if you do dodge, and a Brutal Strike rating, so you can start Brutal Strikes. And of course, Shield Motion Tractor for the extra damage at maximum range, up to maximum range. I always do Lemuria for the life on hit. If you look at the weapon, this is life on death, life on hit. So it's really handy for this build. Lots of life regen on this with hit points. Lots of life regen on this. No hit points, unfortunately, but some extra defense. Obviously, I'm going for rare find and spirit item or special item find with sticky fingers. And then I got the unique, so I'm going to keep that going on. It gives me extra kinetic charge when I hit. That's really huge. It gets you going back into the ability to surge again. Extra damage with range abilities, extra spirit per second, critical strike, brutal strike, attack speed, rare item find, and +2 to all kinetic mastery powers. It's just going to help any build. So it's definitely worth finding that. Now I'll go do a terminal with this build. I'm not as familiar with the build, so that's going to be what it is. I perform better. Let's see, what am I? Level 42. Yeah, I had to get to 42 just so I could get a piece of gear so I could see what stack the deck is. If you're doing ranged, skip this. This is like massive amounts of spirit. You could pump red suits up and maybe get this to pay for itself, but I think red suits procs only once per second, has an internal cooldown, and this is actually 4 per shot, 4 spirit per shot. You dump spirit like nothing. It only hits one target. Horrible, horrible ability. All in, looks a little better, but it hits such a small swath, it's almost impossible to keep hitting things. And when you do hit them, you don't go through them like Colossus's and Emma's little whirling thing there. You actually stop at them. It's terrible. So there is definitely some issues on Gambit. Everyone who says there's issues, it is. Everyone who says it's completely crud character, they're also wrong too. They're probably just frustrated. It's really hard leveling character, just to put it out there. And he's not player friendly, so I could live, I could die, but I'm 42, so I'll do a level 39 Fist Tower with a command bunker. Or Hood's Hideout. I like Hood's. Hood's is easy, so I'm going to go there. So, like I said, make sure your red suits is on, or your black suits. It does come off. And then, being a range build, you're going to have to get used to holding down your don't move while shooting button. Otherwise, you'll go all over the place. As you can see, this is going to be a little bit slower of a pace. You can speed it up by surging. I'm already able to surge. As you can see, the surge abilities start growing. So like there's a lot of guys here, so I'll start surging here and I'll dump. And everything's dead, so I'll just go back to my single target because it does more damage than that single target. But this Royal Flush does massive AoE damage. And that's how you surge. And you can see I pretty much wiped the floor with the trash in that. That was pretty easy. So, little targets, I'm just going to kill them with dead mans. I wish this was a little bit longer of a range and a little bit faster fighting. It does feel kind of slow. There's a bug now where things like pop-ups stay around, so that's what that was. There's also a bug where debuff, when you die, it stays on you after you kill 50. It doesn't actually deduct the XP, but the debuff shows it's on. So there's a lot of guys on. Oops, wrong one. I popped. You can see the damage is going pretty good. So this is what I mean. He's kind of like a Hawkeye. So maybe Hawkeye will start playing like him when you do him ranged. As you can see, I'm not having too much issues with the bow. Midtown, if there's 2 to 3 different mob types spawning, you know what I mean? Like when you hit a, sometimes they put the bosses at a point where 2 to 3 different types of mobs can spawn and get all those bosses. The damage can come in really fast, and it's almost as if, like, if he misses a dodge on one attack, every attack that happened during there also hits. So he definitely goes up and down in life really hard if you're not staying on top of it. Like I said, this is definitely going to be slower paced on trash, stronger ability to deal with bosses though, I think. And with trash, you really want to be doing this ability right here. This is everything. Royal Flush does a lot. But you want to make sure that you're doing it at the opportune time. You don't want to surge at a bad time and then not have the surge ability available. Even though, remember, I'm gaining a lot of surge per hit, as you can see. It's going like crazy. So as long as it's green, it's available. Like, you know, 5 mobs, I don't want to surge on 5 mobs. So if anyone's played Hawkeye, they probably recognize the fact that this is a lot like Triple Arrow. There's a lot of guys here. I can go crazy on them. And they're all dead already. Leaving the surge ability up to do the single target. As you can see, surging on hard targets, they go down pretty fast. You get a lot more DPS. So everyone who hates Hawkeye, don't think I'm saying Gambit is Hawkeye. His Deadman skill is basically similar to his Triple Arrow. And actually, Royal Flush is very similar to his Wave of Arrows. Much more effective. See, these guys are up, so I'm going to surge. I popped kinetic, what is this, Raging Cajun, so I can get my surge abilities up. And Royal Flush basically wasted those blues. Now I'm wasting the hood. And you can see I'm regenerating all my surge, so the buff's gone. That's why I like Dooms. Dooms also, if you get surrounded, and you find yourself getting surrounded and dying a lot, the chance to fear is massive. Because if you're getting attacked 20 times, it's going to go off, and then everything's going to run away. So all you have to do is survive that initial hit, and then they'll be feared. And, you know, maybe that'll help you with the melee build. Maybe it'll hurt you because now everything's running away from you, but it's a lot better than dying. So that's Gambit. And that's the marked cards build. So if you see someone doing a range style Gambit, it's probably something similar to this or this. And that's it. So I hope it helped. Hope you enjoy it. And coming up next will be his melee-based hybrid build.